advice on hitting a new level. We've already talked about the importance of taking a piece of paper and a pen and writing down your strengths and weaknesses. Then you can attack your strengths, attack your weaknesses, highlight the strengths that can change your career, spend more time there, highlight your weaknesses that cost you day after day, match after match, practice after practice, and attack those. The weaknesses that you can't do anything about, we just avoid those positions. If you're not a great scrambler, your goal is to avoid scrambling type of positions. If you're not very fast, your goal is to wrestle with, your head and hands low and to wrestle from a contact position. You're going to avoid outside wrestling. So there's a review from a previous video clip. But another way that I think I probably should have included is simply this. A lot of times it's just changing the way you think. I tell our kids at camps in our academy too. After practice, I always thank them for coming, and they always come up and shake my hand and thank me for having practice. So, if your coach has the weight room open at 6:30 in the morning to 7:15, and then you start school at, 7:35 or whatever, you could say, oh, I have to get up early and go lift weights, right? Or you could say, I want to wrestle in college. I want to be like Thomas Gilman one day. Or Kyle Schneider, whoever. The coach has given me an opportunity to get stronger so I can accomplish my goals. Then you can jump out of bed a little bit easier. If you lay there saying, oh, coach is making me lift weights, that's no way to start your day. I tell our kids this, if you don't like wrestling, quit. Just quit. Go fishing, right? It's not for you. But some kids, they love wrestling. It is for them, but they're holding themselves back because they can't possibly bring themselves to the point where they say, walk into the weight room and say, hey, coach, thanks for opening the weight room for me. It's really kind of, it sounds corny, but, you could even say, hey, thanks, coach, for opening the weight room for me, giving me a chance, giving me access to these weights so I can get stronger and have a better chance of accomplishing my goals. Isn't that a better way to approach your wrestling career or anything else? How about drilling? Oh, coach made me drill. I tell my kids, if you don't like to drill, quit wrestling. Oh, I don't like shooting free throws. Oh, but I love basketball. No, you don't. You're kidding yourself. Free throws is part of basketball. They're not going to change the rules. Either you change or quit. Do something different, right? If you don't like drilling, quit. It's part of wrestling. You have to do it. Sorry, I don't like lifting weights, but I want to be a bodybuilder. Oh, that makes a whole lot of sense too. So some point in time, evaluate whether or not, you're wrestling or not. And if you are, do it. And then change your outlook and approach. Maybe if you're a teacher, you wonder why. Some of the teachers and coaches I dealt with years ago ran me out of teaching and coaching. But it is a thankless job. So, I won't go off on a tangent there. But part of the reason they're in a bad mood or bitter, or, our athletic director and two of my assistant principals, those two are friends of mine, they had told all of the new teachers to stay out of the teacher's lounge. All they do is gripe. It's toxic. Stay away from there. And these are the principals. And, I look back sometimes and I think, well, yeah, they're in a bad mood because all they get is some, it's kind of like being a police officer, right? You just get, you got parents griping at you because the kid flunked. Meanwhile, the kid hasn't brought a pencil to class in 3 months, right? And you're always to blame. The kid's attitude is bad. It's just sometimes school and athletics can be very toxic, but a lot of times it starts with the student. It starts with the athlete, and it kind of poisons the job and kind of tamps out the fire that the coach and teacher once had when they started. So don't be that athlete. Be the one athlete that shows up to the teacher and says, hey, thanks, Miss Williams, for having this study session after class so I can get a better grade. Isn't that a better way to live your life instead of closing your locker saying, oh, I can't go hang out in the parking lot with my friends after school. I have to go study math. I mean, that's no way to walk into that math class. So I think a big part of just entering a new level of wrestling is just enter a new level of thinking. And I mean, I do that. I don't always feel like, now it's dark at 5:15, and I leave for practice at night. I don't go home till 10:30 at night. I work evenings. Sometimes it's a drag, but, my dad was an iron worker, You talk about someone with a hard job. He had a hard job. I don't. So a big part of it is looking at the bright side and really thinking about sort of rephrasing how you look at this. And the weight room example I gave is a real example that we're all going through. So try that tomorrow. When you go to the weight room or the next day, go in there with a better attitude. Think about it before you go to bed. When you get out of bed, think about it differently. Go thank the coach's hand for helping you and opening up the weight room for you. As a coach, you might want to give this little speech before the wrestling kid practice or the track practice or the weight room kids, and you thank them for coming. Ask them to, I don't really ask, my kids have started doing it, and it's got to be a thing. It's pretty cool. Then ask them to come up and shake your hand and thank you back. It's kind of like, you hear, I heard a great story about capitalism, right? Starbucks has a $4 cup of coffee. I have $4. I want their coffee more than I want my $4. They want my $4 more than I want their coffee. So we make this exchange, and we both say thank you. I don't have to go in there, and they can always sell their coffee to someone else. Athletics is much the same way. A coach can't force kids to practice or to join wrestling if they don't like it. And if you don't like coffee, you're not going to go to Starbucks, But kids, they're the ones that join the wrestling team. You're the one that signed up to be the wrestling coach. It should be a mutual thank you at the end of the transaction.